Good luck to you. Now, my next guest went from, well, a local hairdresser salon in South London to the stylist behind one of pop's most iconic looks. David Bowie there as Ziggy Stardust. Touring the world with him, Suzi Ronson was there for his rise, well, to superstardom. And in her new book, she shares some incredible stories from their time together. She joins me now. Suzi, it's so good to see you.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
It really is. And it's just one of those amazing moments that there you are in the salon and a certain Mrs. Jones comes into the salon, David's mum.
I didn't know it was David's mum.
No, you
time,
didn't. And she
though.
says, oh, my son's a musician.
That's right.
Says she.
She was telling me. She seemed so proud of him.
Good, that's glad to hear that.
And I kept saying, and I kept thinking, you rolling up someone's hair and you kind of smile and nod.
Yeah.
Everyone would talk about their children and their families. So you'd smile and nod. It wasn't until she mentioned Space Oddity
that you went, aha,
that my ears pricked up. I said, Space Oddity? I've heard that on the radio.
Yeah. So
and then, of course, I realised it was David Bowie's mother.
Of course. And at that time, he had this kind of long blonde hair.
He did. He had
like
long
on the
blonde
cover
hair.
of Hunky Dory, he had that long hair. And so he went from that, oh, God, look at him there as a mod. That's hilarious. But you created that look.
Well, I mean, I was given a photograph. When I met him, he was looking through a magazine and there was this photograph of a woman's hairstyle, a little Fred Frou, and he said to me, can you do that?
Ah.
And I thought to myself, that's a woman's hairstyle, which was an unusual thing anyway.
Yeah, back then, of course.
And how was I going to do it? But we chopped it off that night.
Yeah.
It wouldn't stand up, it just flopped.
Oh.
So it looked like a schoolboy,
yeah.
a schoolboy's haircut. But I did manage to find the colour, and I used this... We didn't have fixatives in those days.
See, there wasn't the products
there
back
wasn't
then,
the
Suzi.
Products, no. We had soft-setting lotion or dippity-doo, and that wasn't going to do it.
No. So you managed it.
I used this product called Guard. It was an anti-dandruff treatment. Side effect, it set hair like stone.
It sure did, and look at that. That's amazing. And you were there on tour.
Yeah, I went on tour with them.
Yeah, that must have been incredible to get so close to someone like that, because you really were.
Yeah, it was unusual for a girl to go on the road.
Ah.
My friends all said, you're crazy, you're never going to go on the road. Girls don't go on the road. And it was true for the most part.
Right.
They didn't, but the adventure was right in front of me.
Oh, it was amazing.
And I was determined to get it, and I managed to.
You did. I think you saw the best of it as well.
Well, it was definitely a moment.
Yeah.
It was a turning point for him. He went from folk singer to someone in a rock and roll band. I mean, it was lot to do with his band. My late husband, the Mick Ronson.
Well, because of course, not only did you get close to David Bowie, but you married Mick Ronson, who was such an important part of that time.
He was.
An amazing, amazing guitarist. Very underrated, I think.
Well, I think he was. I don't think he is quite so much now, but it wasn't just his guitar playing. He's a wonderful arranger.
Yeah.
The first strings he ever arranged were Life on Mars.
Right.
Yeah, and a fantastic piano player, Perfect Day, Lou Reed, Transformer.
Wow.
That was my Mick.
Oh, I love that. I love that shot of the two of them. And David Bowie just puts his arm around your late husband, and it's just...
That shook Britain to the core.
It did. And when I say that to people who say, that was a really, really important moment.
Shocking moment, wasn't it?
He's just putting his arm around him. I said, I know, but back then, it just wasn't done.
My mum and dad... And my mum, that and the Melody Maker with that photograph.
Oh, that brilliant photograph when it looks like David Bowie's eating Mick Ronson's guitar. It's just one of those. It's just.
So my mum would say, "Is this who you're working for?"
Yes, this is who. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that is just brilliant. Look at that. That's kind of iconic. See, there's nothing new under the sun.
My darling friend Mick Rock shot that photograph.
All of the new bands think that they're, trailblazers and all of that. Those two.
Those two
really
there was
right?
none better on the front of the stage.
I know.
They were incredible.
They absolutely were. He died too young, your Mick. He died far too
46,
young. I know.
46. And I'm so sorry that he died, because I think, we didn't have much interaction with David throughout that period of time. But I feel sure he was only 46. I think they would have got back together. They'd have made more music together.
I think so. And then, obviously, you now live in New York.
I do.
Which is where... And you spent a lot of time in New York, of course, and that's where, David Bowie ended up too.
Yes.
So you would like to think that the circle would be completed.
Yes.
And that you would,
He was a wonderful artist, though, David.
Unbelievable.
I mean, he changed my life completely.
Of course he
I'm so grateful to him.
Do you not sometimes just think to yourself, what would have happened if David Bowie's mum, Mrs. Jones, hadn't come into your salon that day? Say you'd had the day off.
Yes. Life can turn on a dime, can't it?
It absolutely can.
I mean, life is an adventure.
No, it absolutely is. You had one naughty night with him.
One naughty night.
Just one naughty night.
Just one naughty night.
But see, back then, kids, that was allowed, right?
We'd just come out the 60s, you know, free love and everybody doing goodness knows what. And we were before AIDS. There was no AIDS.
No.
And he was a really attractive man. And I was curious.
Yeah.
I mean, I was definitely curious.
Of course. Why wouldn't you be?
And I was so suburban, you know. It was wonderful to be caught up in this adventure.
And
this
all of
rock
that
and roll
magic.
adventure. I loved it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I had my one naughty night with
One
David.
naughty night, that's fine. I think that's you get a pass
allowed.
for that. You get a pass for that, absolutely, for sure. And then all the years that you had, although cut short with Mick,
it was
of
cut
course.
short with Mick.
But it's a great book. I mean, the stories are incredible, and the access you had. I mean,
It's a different kind of a book. It's a bit of a fairy tale kind of a book, isn't it?
But there's
it's about a young girl that gets swept up
in all of this.
In all of this.
But Suzi, you thank both him and his wife Angie at that time,
of course.
because there's huge affection in here.
Yes.
Massive affection for both of them.
I was with him at a very pivotal moment in his life, and you know, it was the coming up of somebody.
Yeah.
Is very different than the maintenance. So the coming up of David was extraordinary.
Honestly, we see when you look back at that and you just think the influence that he had on so many artists. God, he was something, wasn't he?
He was something else, wasn't he?
He was something.
And the costumes and everything. I mean, he was something else.
Loved it, loved it. Thank you, Suzi.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed myself today.
I'm good. I'm so glad. Thank you. And Me and Mrs. Jones is out next Thursday.
April 4th, yeah.
Next Thursday. But of course you can pre-order it, as you can now, which is great. Thank you.
Thank you.